Welcome to another video. This video will cover instructions on how to do a collage project. As you can see, I have quite a mess here because I've been going through magazines and trimming out images so that I can show you all how to do this project. If you're new to collage, basically what collage is it's an assemblage of 2D images. So you don't have to only use magazines, but that is probably the easiest source of images that we can get our hands on. Obviously, you could always print out some images that you find online that you would like to use, or find some decorative papers, things like that. You know, ask your friends, family members to borrow magazines for this project. You need a lot of images. More images than you think, because you don't only want to pick out images that you think you're going to use. You want a wide variety so that when you are ready to start collaging, you have a wide range of items to pick from. So anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me talk about the materials you're going to need first. You're going to need any kind of pencil, magazines, of course. Some sort of cutting mat so that when you're trimming out the images with your utility knife or Xacto knife, that you're protecting the surface underneath. So cutting mat, Xacto knife, any kind of tool to make circles. So I have a compass here. If you happen to have circle templates, that works just as well. You're going to need a scissors, glue stick for the final stage when we glue things down, and you're going to need a ruler and some Bristol paper, 11 by 14 inch. I would also suggest getting any kind of folder or envelope to keep images in, because you may not do this project all in one sitting. So it's nice to kind of keep things organized and protect your magazine clippings from getting bent. And so that's a great way to keep organized. Also, I found at Daiso, which is a Japanese dollar store, these great little like plastic envelopes. So I'm going to use these guys to kind of keep my images in. I just like how they're small, so as I categorize my images, I can keep them in different envelopes, but that's optional, of course. Another optional thing, if you're just looking for some plain color papers, there's these variety packs at Daiso. There's a cool tone and warm tone variety pack of just like I think it's construction paper. Yeah, it says construction paper on there. So these are really nice. Anyway, so that is materials. Now you're going to need more than one magazine. You're going to need, I would suggest the very least 5, but it's better if you can get your hands on more. Like I said, you're going to need a wide variety of images. Now, it's hard for me to suggest exactly how many images, but keep in mind, we, for this project, are going to do 3 collages. So you're going to want a variety so that you don't feel limited, because I'm going to show you how that method is going to help you kind of be more creative with the process, rather than trying to pick a theme for your collage before you look for images, because that can be very frustrating and limiting. If you find images that interest you first and then figure out a theme, that's much better. So our goals for this project are to do 3 collages, to utilize a good composition, and to have a cohesive theme within each collage. Now, your themes can, you know, vary. It could be a subject such as like food or flowers or nature, the zodiac, space, whatever you can think of that interests you. Of course, like I said, once you start looking through these magazines and picking out images that interest you, the images will tell you what kind of theme. You could also do a theme based on color. Like maybe I find a ton of images that has this bluish teal color and I want to do a blue themed collage, I could do that. You could do your theme based on a feeling. Maybe you find a lot of humorous images and decide to do a collage based on humor or something like that. So the options are endless for your theme, but again, try not to decide on it before you look through images. Just look through some magazines, and anything that you find to be interesting, trim it out. You don't have to think about how you would use it or why. Just trim it out. Like I just saw these little diamond rings. I think that they're interesting, so I'm going to trim them out and save them. See how I'm just cutting them out very loose and rough? So in other words, I'm not cutting all the way to the edge because I don't know if I'm going to use this image yet. I just want it as an option. Later on, once I'm arranging things on the page, if I decide I want to use it, then I will use my knife on my cutting mat and I will trim this out exact to the edge to get a really nice shape there. But you don't want to do it before you know if you're going to use it or not, because then you're wasting time. Because this can be time consuming, looking through these magazines and finding images that you're interested in. So, you know, see how I'm just kind of like roughly, I just kind of like her sunglasses. So I'm just roughly trimming this out. Again, I might not use that, but just in case. So, you also want to keep an eye out. Here's an example of something where I really love this image. She's dancing, it's an action pose. This would be so cool to do a collage based on dance, but there's some problems with this image. The first problem is that her toes are cut off. The second problem is that there's text overlapping her. So this is not a good image because even if I trim her out of that background, I still have those issues that are going to show. Unless I find other images to overlap to hide those areas, then this might not work. I'm gonna trim it out anyway, just in case I do end up finding some things to overlap. But this is a pretty significant area that this text is overlapping, so it's probably not going to work, but I'm going to stay open to it. So my advice for you all is to stay open to change. I know it's hard when you find an image that you really fall in love with, that you really want to use, but you have to do what's going to work best for your collage. So try to remember that there's tons and tons of images that we're going to trim out and look at, and there's going to be lots of cool things to work with. So try not to fall in love with something that you don't want to force it to work if it's not going to work. You know what I mean? But just in case, I'll trim it out. Who knows, maybe I'll find a way to make it work. I really love this one. Now this is an example of something that might work better if I was going to use a person in my collage. You don't have to use people. You could do collages that are about cars or about planes or about flowers, about food, or your collage. I'll insert an example of a collage where a student used torn out different pieces of color, cool colors, and he made a picture of the earth just from like torn pieces of paper. So there's the options are endless for how you can choose things. But anyway, I would suggest just tearing out anything that looks even remotely interesting to you. I just like this one because nothing is cropped out. There's no text overlapping her, and I just like the outfit and everything, so I'm going to set that aside. And I'm going to keep looking here. Now, also keep an eye out for just flat pieces of color. You know, I'm not interested in her, but this is a large area of color that could work for some background information in my collage if I was doing some neutral colors in the background. So I've actually got a pile here going of just pieces of paper from magazines that just had some nice flat colors, or maybe not even flat, like this is obviously like a few different yellow-green colors, but they could work as abstract shapes or background information. So I think it's a great idea to keep an eye out for stuff like that. Like this is a beautiful purple color. If I wanted to do, you know, maybe I wanted to use my compass to draw some circles and trim out the circles, and I could have this repeated like circle pattern in my collage. Maybe I collect some different shades of purple paper to use kind of like a cool color scheme in my collage. So, you know, obviously you don't have to know exactly what you're going to do with these things, you know, beforehand, but whatever looks interesting, trim it out. And anytime you see large areas of flat color, go ahead and trim that out too, because that could always be useful. I really love this color. It's too bad that the text covers most of this page, but I can grab a little area from the side there. Now you can use text in your collage, but only if it's purposeful. For example, maybe the theme of your collage is about the environment, and maybe you want to add some text that relates to that. Maybe you find some beautiful text in a magazine that has the word nature in it, or you know, things like that. It's totally fine as long as it's purposeful and as long as it works well in the composition. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Now here's something interesting. See this ad of this profile view of a person. Now this could be interesting just for the shape of the profile of the face, and you could collage different images within that profile. That could be something really interesting. So I will just trim out that and put it aside and keep going. So sometimes these fashion magazines just have a lot of people in them, and so you may want to have a variety of magazines. Like maybe you have a magazine that kind of has more different types of advertisements in it, or a landscape, or not a landscape, a travel magazine for some landscapes, or just, you know, some variety to choose from would be nice. That's nice, this page of blue sky. So I'm just gonna save that. Obviously there's text, but I might be able to use some of that blue. And I think I'm going to move on here because before starting the video, I cut out quite a few images, so I think I have enough to work with here to show you guys how to get started. Now, once you've trimmed out tons of images, which should take you quite a while, so you may need to take a break and then come back to this, but once you have a ton of images to work from, then you're going to want to categorize them. You can either categorize them into piles based on size, like large, medium, I think I have some small, like large, medium, small, or you could categorize them based on color, or you could categorize them based on subject. Like I have a pile for people images. I think I got a little disorganized, but earlier I had a pile for all floral themed stuff. I have my pile based on just, you know, colors, like I mentioned, just flat colors. I've got kind of like a random pile of a bunch of different stuff over here, but they're like medium shaped things to go through. and then I have some larger images. I also have some decorative papers somewhere in here. But look at how nice this is. I found some really large flat color stuff. So anyway, categorizing them just kind of helps you get organized, but also helps you start to think about what kind of images you have and what potential themes you could come out with based on the selection of images you have. For example, maybe you have a lot of cooking magazines that you're looking through, so you have a lot of food related imagery. That could potentially be a theme for you. Now, once you're ready to, once you have your groups of images based on themes, now you're ready to get started, and you don't necessarily have to have an idea of a theme yet. I'll show you kind of how to stay open to that as you go. But first, you're going to need to grab a piece of Bristol paper. Grab a pencil and a ruler. You are going to want to make a 1-inch border with your ruler and pencil. So mark 1 inch, make a line, and keep doing that until you've got a full border. We're going to work inside the border. The reason I like to have a 1-inch border around the collage is that it just makes a nice finished presentation. When you're done with the collage, you have this nice white 1-inch border all the way around it. So I went ahead and already did that for the purpose of this demo to keep things moving along quickly. So there it is, 1-inch border all the way around. Once you've got your 1-inch border, you are ready to start arranging items onto your paper. Now remember, we're going to do 3 of these, so you can either work on one at a time, or you can have all 3 papers laid out so that you can kind of work on all 3 at a time as you kind of come up with ideas and start brainstorming. But anyway, I had found a few images that I was really interested in. So what you want to do is just start arranging things. Now, I thought that maybe I could do a real nice kind of dance themed collage kind of featuring her, because this was such a beautiful image, and I was kind of thinking maybe cool colors, but I also really liked this red flower. I thought maybe I could use it like a halo behind her head, but I think that it might be a little bit too busy, so I probably won't do that. And then I found this moon, and I thought, ooh, maybe that could work as a halo behind her, and that could be really interesting. And I found, because I had some National Geographic magazines, which are great, I found this large one, which could be some interesting background information. Might be a little bit too busy, but you can just arrange some things, and then this is giving me ideas. Maybe I want a cool color scheme here. So something like this would just be too loud, it's too warm, it's too bright. So once I get rid of that, then things are starting to look more relaxed, and these cooler colors I think are just going to look a little bit more appropriate. So I'm just kind of playing around. I've got some background colors here. However, it's just too simple. It's a little bit boring. It's just, she's there with some background. I kind of need to find something else to arrange. Now I'm kind of going back to, in my mind, I'm going back to something I mentioned earlier, the idea of using your compass to get some circles from maybe one of these flat color papers, and I'm thinking maybe I could cut out some different size circles and kind of like arrange them around her, so as she's kicking her leg up into the air, maybe the circles are kind of like flowing out from her and swirling around her. So I really like that idea, that's going to take some time, so it's kind of a bit of a commitment. If I decide I really like that idea, I could go for it, but you know, I won't do it during this demo because it would be boring to watch me cut out a ton of little circles, but I like that idea. So I'm going to keep that in mind. So I might put these all aside for now and think about it. So I'm going to set that over here in its own little pile, and I might work on the second one and kind of think about that for a while. Now, let's see what else I have. I did have this image, which I was really interested in. I also really liked this one, but I think I'm more drawn towards this one, even though I love the color in this one better. So I could always save this for the third one. I'll put that aside. Now, keep in mind, you don't have to have a vertical orientation for your collage. You could make it horizontal as another option. So I think I might do that, and I'm not sure if I'm going to keep both of these figures or maybe just focus in on one. But what I could do is I could just do this, and that way I have the option to move them around, to eliminate one, and as I add things and subtract things, I'll just have more options of what I can do with them. Now, they're definitely very neutral in color. So I don't think I'd want to pair it with a bunch of loud colors because it's going to overpower them. I'm thinking kind of more subdued colors, or, you know, this might be a little bit too busy. So even though this is maybe a good, you know, neutral colors, but I'm not quite sure. I do like the activity of this image. It's very stressful. It's like a flock of birds. And so if I wanted to make this image less of like probably what it was initially painted portrait as kind of like this sort of a sad image, but not super agitated. I mean, there's beautiful butterflies flying around these figures. They're very beautiful figures. But if I wanted to change the mood, maybe I eliminate the butterflies and I make this more of a intense, agitated image. I think that that's what this would do. I think it would change the feeling. So I'm not quite sure yet if I want that. So I might keep it nearby. Let's see. I have an explosion image, which is clearly not going to work, right? I mean, that has nothing to do with these figures. It just doesn't look quite right together. This would be great for something that's more intense, more exciting, brighter colors. So I'll put that aside. Maybe I want to incorporate some florals. Let's see what kind of like warmer colors I have. This is kind of a nice, another kind of little halo idea that I could maybe put behind her. I'm not sure. I really love this mustard color. I'm thinking that could be a really beautiful color scheme. I could do yellow and blue as my color scheme potentially. So maybe I look for more yellow and blue items. Oh, I have a really interesting image of a clock here. Maybe I want to create a theme about time. Maybe she is upset or depressed about time. Maybe she's feeling melancholy. I don't know. Maybe I can build a narrative here. But I think, you know, in magazines, you see a lot of advertisements of like watches and stuff. So you see a lot of these kinds of things where you can, if you wanted to do a theme about time, you could easily do that. Let's see, what else do I have here? I have more florals. I found this giant diamond image. This could be an interesting theme for a collage, maybe about luxury or excess. So stuff like that. You see a lot of advertisements with like jewelry and diamonds. That could potentially be a theme. Look at this beautiful blue. That looks so nice with that mustard yellow. So I might want to incorporate that in some way. And I love this, these house plants. Maybe this could kind of add some nice kind of like, you know, accent to the florals because it's all plant life. And then I found this image. This was in an art magazine, and I just liked the shapes, and I liked just, I don't know, they're just these black blobs, and I thought it'd be interesting, maybe if I was trying to focus on this figure and try to make this collage about, you know, maybe something difficult that's on her mind. Maybe she's frustrated. Maybe some shapes like this surrounding her might kind of show that frustration. Let's see if I have anything else here to use. Maybe not, I don't know. Let's see. So floral and plant life and stuff like this would change the mood. So as soon as I do more things like that, it becomes a lighter subject matter. But if I take away some of those more happy colors, and if I add more things like this, then the mood changes, right? So now the mood is a little more serious. Okay, so it takes a while to arrange things and to think about it. You're also thinking about composition, so you want to have a nice balance. Right now I feel like this is very busy. There's no real area for the eye to rest, so I may have to use some blank pieces of paper, maybe cutting them out into some different shapes would be interesting, but something to kind of break up all this busyness so that you can actually kind of see what's going on. But once I have things arranged in a way that I like, then I will use my cutting mat and my utility knife to trim things out all the way to the edge, and then I'll arrange them, make sure I really like it, and once I like it, then I will glue them down, and then that is the final piece. So that is my suggestion for how to go about this. I will insert some examples for you to look at. I will finish up at least one of these collages here off camera, and then I will show you guys the finished result. So thanks for watching, and hopefully this advice was helpful.